Okay, so get this. Today, we're jacking into the Ghost in the Shell universe.
Okay.
But listen, we're not just like skimming the surface here.
Right.
You've given us manga excerpts, gone down Wikipedia rabbit hole, even brought in multiple languages.
Yeah.
Someone's been doing their homework.
It seems you're after the blueprints of this world, not just a tour of the finished building.
Exactly.
Okay.
So get ready for cyberpunk, philosophy,
Yeah.
and enough deep cuts to make a diehard Gits fan blush.
Then let's start with the foundation.
Okay.
Imagine our world, but instead of dial-up being the big thing in the 90s,
Right.
it's World War IV and the threat of nuclear devastation.
Oh, wow.
And the perpetrators. Well, let's just say not the usual suspects.
Okay, now that's a curveball.
Yeah.
How does that impact things?
It completely redraws the geopolitical map.
Okay.
The West spirals into dystopia, while Japan gets carved up a powder keg of political tension.
So this isn't just some throwaway backstory. This actually matters.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
This alternate history is the bedrock of Ghost in the Shell. It informs everything, the technology, the anxieties, even why there's a half-submerged city in the middle of Tokyo Bay.
And speaking of tech,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Cyberbrains, full-body prosthetics, thermo-optical camouflage.
It's a lot.
It's like they took our wildest sci-fi fantasies and said, hold my beer.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
You see, it's not just the tech itself, but what it does to society.
Okay.
This question, what does it even mean to be human? When you can augment or even replace your entire body with technology.
Right.
That's the core dilemma Ghost in the Shell tackles.
And you see that reflected directly in the manga, like when Section 9 is dealing with cases involving digitized memories or AI claiming human rights.
Absolutely.
It makes you wonder, where do we draw the line?
Precisely. And the way Ghost in the Shell explores this has had a ripple effect on everything from The Matrix to real-world debates about AI ethics and transhumanism.
And to think, it all starts with a history lesson about a world on the brink.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
It's like looking at our own future through a funhouse mirror, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
All this advanced tech,
Right.
but instead of making things simpler,
Yeah.
it throws up even bigger questions
Yeah.
about what it means to be human.
Mm.
And that's what makes this world so compelling.
Yeah.
Speaking of compelling,
Yeah.
we've barely scratched the surface of what you've dug up. It's not just one story, but a whole expanded universe, right?
Precisely. What we have here is a multimedia mythology.
Okay.
Your deep dive unearthed manga volumes,
Wow.
multiple anime series, OVAs.
Okay.
There's even a pachinko machine, for goodness sake.
Okay, now I have to see this pachinko machine.
Right.
But seriously, it's the sheer scope of it that's impressive.
It really is.
People were clearly hooked on this world.
And for good reason.
Yeah.
The creators didn't just build a world, they furnished it down to the last detail.
And that's what I love.
Yeah.
Case in point. The 1995 film. Did you know they had a dedicated team just to design the guns?
Yeah, it's true.
What?
And they were meticulous.
Wow.
They even considered using Bulgarian folk singers for the soundtrack
Wow.
before finding a Japanese group that could read Western sheet music.
Wait, Bulgarian folk music for a cyberpunk anime?
I know, right?
Okay, now that's the soundtrack I need in my life.
Right. I'd buy that album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It speaks to the incredible dedication to detail that permeates the Ghost in the Shell universe.
Absolutely.
It feels lived in, real. Like you could turn a corner and bump into Batu grabbing a bowl of ramen.
Yeah, totally.
Which, knowing these stories, could
Right.
totally happen.
Exactly.
But that's what I love about it. It's this blend of gritty realism and mind-bending philosophy.
Yeah.
It all just works.
And that's not easy to pull off.
Right.
This is where the meticulous detail feeds into the bigger picture. It makes the philosophical questions hit even harder because they're grounded in a world that feels tangible, believable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, speaking of different interpretations,
Yeah.
let's talk about how this world, this incredibly detailed philosophical world, went global with that 1995 film. So this movie, it drops in 95,
Right.
and it doesn't exactly set the Japanese box office on fire.
No.
In fact, it kind of bombs.
You're right. He kind of flops. Yeah.
But then it hits Western shores
Right.
and
Kind of
explodes
represent-
into a cult classic.
It really is a remarkable story of cultural crossover appeal.
It even topped the U.S. video charts.
I believe it. Yeah.
It was like the world wasn't ready for it,
Yeah.
and then suddenly they couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny?
What's that?
Even James Cameron was blown away.
He was super into it.
Called it adult science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And it deeply inspired him.
Wow.
And it's funny, he specifically praised those iconic visuals.
Right.
Major Kusanagi's birth from the water.
Right.
That insane shootout in the museum.
Oh, yeah. So good.
They're cool, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But what makes Ghost in the Shell really special
Yeah.
is what those visuals represent.
Right.
It's not just action.
It's deeper than that.
It's about the ideas those scenes spark.
Totally.
Cultural translation, the ethics of AI.
Absolutely.
Even those early conversations about representation in Hollywood.
Right.
Big stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And those conversations, they're still going strong today, right?
And those conversations are still going strong today.
Every adaptation. Every time Ghost in the Shell is reimagined,
Exactly.
it grapples with these core themes in new ways.
It's like the ghost itself is being constantly reinterpreted, prompting new discussions and offering fresh perspectives.
It's a conversation that never gets old, does it?
Never.
And you've given us so much to think about just in this deep dive.
It's a lot to unpack.
We're talking political intrigue, philosophical dilemmas, technology that seems impossible, yet is somehow just around the corner.
Right.
And hey,
yeah.
we didn't even get to the Tachikoma.
Oh, the Tachikoma.
Those adorable AI tanks that steal every scene they're in.
The best.
Another deep dive for another day, maybe.
Definitely.
But for now, here's a final thought to leave you with.
Yeah.
If our tech keeps evolving at this pace, and let's face it, it will, at what point do we stop being human and become something more?
It's the question, isn't it?
Something else entirely. And would we even recognize that line when we crossed it? Just something to ponder as you head back into a world that's looking more and more like Ghost in the Shell every day.
Actually really making you think, huh?
It really is.
Yeah.